This one is brought to us from Eric Jablin, and the subject is Vavris. Mr. Levy is on record to put the Vavris property in public domain. Mr. DeLuey, what is your position on the Vavris Ranch?
Is this a trick question, Eric? My position is very simple. I respect private property rights, but I also understand that the future of our city depends on the environmental importance of that property. So my position on it is a little bit, if I were to say, it's premature because I haven't seen a site plan. There's an owner to that property, Landstar, that just purchased the property in December. They intend, I understand, to put together a site plan on how they want to develop it. But I can say one thing, that I'm never going to compromise our water for any developer. I'm not going to create urban sprawl, and I don't want to see high density west of town.
The current zoning,
no, you're up.
The current zoning allows 400 homes on that property. I don't see any further, but Landstar can't make money building 400 homes. So if the council stays strong, maybe they'll be willing to put that property in public ownership. We're not taking away the right to build 400 homes. The city of Palm Beach Gardens, since I've been on the city council, has never denied anybody their public property rights. I agree that if you take someone's property, if you devalue it by something that you do, it's a taking. And taking has to be compensated. That is the federal law. City of Palm Beach Gardens has never paid the taking costs. There is eminent domain, but I will tell you, I only believe in using eminent domain when using that eminent domain provides a public purpose, such as a roadway, something along those lines. So in other words, I disagree with the New London decision of the Supreme Court.
Thank you, David. Next question from Kevin. This one's about annexation. Annexation of areas is being considered. What is your vision, if elected, for the enclaves or pockets in our city with regards to city municipal services?
I worked to actually change our policy on annexation. We actually had no annexation policy up until about 3 years ago. I brought to the council to go ahead and change that policy. I think annexation is a good thing. There are several neighborhoods that we would like to annex. East Point, Old Marsh, those are areas that are prime for annexation. There are city pockets that are prime for annexation. Something that's important to realize is that we have a mutual aid agreement with the county. So we service those areas anyway. So we might as well collect the tax revenue from it. If we actually follow the annexation plan that I understand is on the table, we've got the ability to lower our millage rate quite a bit because we'll be increasing the amount of revenue that we'll be taking in. One of the properties that I would really like to get, but will take some doing, is Lost Tree Village. That would be a very valuable property to be in the city of Palm Beach Gardens. But all these county pockets, if you go down North Lake Boulevard, honestly, you don't know where you are. So if we were able to get some of those pockets in, then at least we would know we were in the city of Palm Beach Gardens.
Thank you, David. James?
I think annexation is a viable tool to bring in other areas and build your city and build your tax base. But it comes down to a business decision. Sometimes when you annex a piece of property, you're annexing liabilities rather than obligations. And when you annex liabilities, you've got to raise taxes. So it depends on the piece of property. But I believe in annexation. It can be something that's positive for the city, but it can also be a bad business decision which would cost our taxpayers money.
Thank you, James. Next question. Hold on to that microphone. From Kevin. Term limits. How do you feel about term limits?
I love term limits. Term limits keep a government viable. You need term limits to keep a government viable. You need new ideas. We have a dynamic city, but we have a very static council. And do you know why? Because there are no term limits. We've had people in there over 20 years, some over 25 years, some 10 years. I believe in 2 terms. And I think you get jaded if you're in there too long. You lose sight of the people. You become feeling entitled. You're living to cut the ribbons. And I also think, I was surprised when I did my due diligence on this job that you got a salary, you got a pension, you got full medical. This is a public service job. It's a part-time job to serve the people. You go in, and you get out, and you let somebody else do it with new and fresh ideas.
Wow.
David?
I'll tell you something that kind of scares me as a resident of Palm Beach Gardens, and that's an idea of a council that has no member with more than 3 years of experience. You know, having a two-term term, that means you're on for 6 years. You know, if we started implementing that now, we would actually have a council in a few years where the mayor would have been on the council for 2 years. That's not the way to do things. You know, we have term limits, they're called elections. With that said, I think that, you know, 5 terms, 15 years is probably enough. So I would tend to go to a term limit, but make it long. I'll tell you, I don't think we've done ourselves any help in Tallahassee. And the city of Delray Beach is pretty much in a disaster because of term limits, because they don't have anybody with any experience on their council. Tallahassee, they're all bucking for positions right from the day one. It's a mess up there. And I think that's one of the reasons why some of the legislation that we've been getting out of Tallahassee hasn't been that good. You know, Hal, I think Hal should be able to serve on the county commission for 12 years. I think if Hal's got some good ideas, I know that you have, Hal's figured it out. So, but I think if he wants to, 12 years is probably a good amount of time.
Thank you, David. Next question from the audience.